Sanbonani Dumelang Absheni, and hello! Welcome to another episode of Catching Up with Keke. Now, on today's episode, we're talking all things artificial intelligence. I'm sure you've been seeing things on social media trending such as AL or L. So I've been seeing that, and people have been creating really cool cartoon characters of themselves. And I'm like, oh my god, what is this? I want to tap into this, okay? What is going on? So I had to do a little bit of research to find out what exactly it is, and it turns out it's just a part of artificial intelligence. And on today's episode, that is what we are tackling: artificial intelligence and how it affects you and I, ordinary people of this world. Stay tuned.
J'aiguise mes sens dans tous les sens interdits. J'entends tout ce qu'il faut, les vrais, les faux et les non-dits. Je suis une fille et je plante mes talons aiguilles en plein dans ton mille.
Please do excuse the noise in my background. You know, this is my son's world and I just happen to live in it. Okay? So now, according to Tech Target, artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence processes by machines, especially computer systems. Specific applications of L include expert systems, natural language processing, speech recognition, and machine vision. AL forms part of our daily lives. If you use virtual assistants such as Alexa, Siri, or Google Assistant, they all rely heavily on artificial intelligence, meaning whether you like it or not, if you use modern technology, then you are making use of AL. Now, the one area where AL creeps me out has to be this marketing. Okay? It's become evident that the smart devices that we use in our homes, our TVs, our fridges, our cell phones, whether home or in the car or at the office, they are tracking us for the purpose of marketing for various companies. Okay, they're collecting our data. So when you search for something on Google, your data is collected, and then the next thing you're seeing ads. So maybe you've searched for particular perfume and now you go to Instagram or Facebook and you'll see ads related to that perfume you wanted to order or you were researching about, or whatever the case is, just to try and sell you the product. So I understand the reasoning behind this type of marketing, okay? Look, to me, it feels like an invasion of my privacy, but it's reasonable. Okay, it's reasonable to a certain extent because they're trying to make the user experience much better and they're trying to make life easier for us. Here's where it gets to me. Here is where it gets to me. I can be home thinking about something, right? And I did not say it out loud, meaning all these virtual assistants that are in my home could not have heard. I did not type it or send it to someone on my phone. It was simply a thought, internal, non-verbal thought. Then I log onto my phone and I get onto the internet and I'm seeing ads related to something I was thinking about. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's happened to me on several occasions. I thought I was going crazy. I literally thought I was going crazy. I had a conversation with a friend of mine last week with regards to this topic, and you could see that as soon as I got to this part, he was like, oh my god, here we go again, conspiracy theorist, she's going crazy, she's going nuts. But honestly speaking, I'm not alone in this, and I had to do a quick Google search to see if anybody else is experiencing this, should I say, phenomenon. Now, I got onto the internet. Listen to this, right? There's Marina Monet, who has a BA in psychology. right? And she says, I don't know why or how, but it happened to me too, and it was particularly odd, which prompted this research. A friend of mine offered me a Tic Tac mint. It was a very mundane moment, and I forgot about it. A few hours later, I had a Tic Tac mint ad on my Facebook. I never buy this product, never searched for it on the internet, and my friend didn't even say the word Tic Tac. Tic Tac, sorry. This creeped me out. So guys, if I'm going to offer somebody a Tic Tac, right? And I'm not saying, hey, here's a Tic Tac. And I'm just like, friend, do you want some? And now you're seeing ads of the exact product. How? Nobody said the word. Okay, let me read some more, because maybe you guys thinking, Keke, it's just a coincidence. Let me go on. Okay, hold up. Something scary. So this is Osama Mohammed, marketing enthusiast. Something scary is going on. It happened to me twice. The first one, when I put my Kindle in. Baby, are you okay? You right? All right. It happened to me twice. The first one, when I put my Kindle in the passenger seat in my car, and I said to myself, this reminds me by that meme of the iPad in the passenger seat, which its owner has been looking for it for a day, without saying it loudly. So he thought about that meme and he didn't say it out loud. At that time, I didn't even have the Facebook app installed in my phone. Next day, I installed Facebook, and the first picture was that picture from a page I don't even follow. Just a suggested page. The second time, when I looked at my sofa at my living room and said to myself, this sofa is getting old. I might need a fabric to cover it. And then boom, straight away, the first ad I saw on Facebook was about sofa covers. This is actually freaking me out. Guys, I know you guys are about to call me crazy. Like, how can they track your thoughts? How can they track your thoughts? Okay, quick tip. I follow a lot of conspiracy theories because I feel like there's a truth behind some of these theories that people come up with. Okay, I strongly believe that if the media wanted you to know certain things, then it's to push a certain agenda for certain people, and there's a lot that the media, mainstream media, do not tell us. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of information that we ought to know that is hidden. So that's why I follow these conspiracy theories, because to be fair, you can't really trust the media now, can you? So let me go back to the topic. During the COVID-19 pandemic, you guys are probably like, ooh, she is starting. No, I am starting because it leads back to that. During the COVID-19 pandemic, there were a number of theories. Some were outrageous, some were very outrageous, like borderline psychotic, and some made a bit of sense. To me, not to everybody else, but to me. The one that made sense to me was the intention behind this vaccine rollout. I do not feel like the intentions were what it seemed. I had a strong suspicion, right, that the forces that be, meaning our billionaires of the world, the ones who are controlling the media, the government, etc., have another agenda with the vaccines. And a lot of people felt the same way. Unfortunately, I still got vaccinated against my will. I don't want to even get into that. An ex forced me to vaccinate. Things we do for relationships, oh my god. So I got vaccinated against my will, which I regret, obviously. And there were a couple of theories around the actual vaccination, and some people were talking about a microchip. And to me, that seemed a bit far-fetched. Like, how are they going to put a microchip in liquid vaccine that they're injecting into your system? How can that be? Well, I don't know the science behind it. I'm not a scientist. However, I'm just going to leave you guys with this question. How in the world are they able to track our thoughts? Ponder on that. Think about it. Let's discuss it in the comments section. Okay, I don't want to dwell on this marketing part too much because there's still so much more to speak about when it comes to artificial intelligence. Darling, I have my very esteemed guest, doctor and humanitarianist, Dr. Gattani. Welcome, guys. If my doctor was this good looking, I would always be sick. I think I'm sick right now.
No.
Welcome to Catching Up.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
At the top of my head, I can only think of ways in which artificial intelligence has assisted the medical industry in their fight for terminal diseases such as cancer, HIV, and many more. Now, according to Yogesh Kumar, artificial intelligence primarily enhanced the infirmary experience and sped up preparing patients to continue their rehabilitation at home. I can only imagine what life was like before this type of technology was introduced. Now, I went through your bio a tad bit, and according to your bio, you are a maxillofacial surgeon. Am I pronouncing it correct?
Yeah,
maxillofacial surgeon. Yeah. Yes. Can you just give us an explanation of what that entails? What is it? And yes, everything you can say about maxillofacial surgery.
Maxillofacial surgery it's a bit of a complex one for most people to understand this. So I just usually say I'm a facial surgeon, but what it essentially is it's like head and neck surgery. But what we deal with is most of the time reconstruction of the face following road accidents. It can be trauma. Most of our work is trauma based. A lot of our work is birth defects in the form of cleft lip and cleft palates, which I specialize in. Personally, my interest area is cleft lip and cleft palate because, as I mentioned to you before, we developed a machine which, again, was for my PhD, and it's essentially used in surgery relating to cleft lip and cleft palate. So yeah, we do a lot of work with cleft lips, cleft palates, a lot of work kind of borderlines with plastic surgery as well of the face, but more, again, trauma-based, like burns, it can be neurological defects, it can be birth defects in babies. So a lot of it is facial reconstruction. So yeah, that's essentially what maxillofacial surgery is. Also, a big chunk of it is post-cancer, so kind of tumor resection, tumor removal, and then because you remove the tumor, a large chunk of the face is also kind of misshaped and it needs to be reconstructed. So that's what we involve ourselves in.
You are doing amazing things. Now, our dear Dr. Gattani has been working on very big things. Dr. Gattani, there's something that we spoke about prior to starting this conversation, and I would really like for you to share it if you don't mind. The project you're working on, the machine, and could you please just tell our viewers?
Yeah, so because this podcast is artificial intelligence, I was mentioning that the thing that we worked on is not exactly artificial intelligence, but it is a form of machine intelligence. It's novel, it's innovative, never been done before. So I'm going to give you a brief description. So I did my PhD in Glasgow, through Glasgow University.
Wow.
Took me 5 years.
Shine.
Yeah, it took me 5 years. It was not shine at that time, but it was a bit of an uphill struggle for me to finish 5 years of this, to get through all the obstacles we've been through. But in the end, touch wood, we've been through all of that, and it's paying the rewards. Not for me, but for kids around the world with cleft lip and cleft palate, which was my main intention. So basically, this machine is a 4-dimensional imaging machine, which is basically it's basically like a scanning machine. Essentially, does not involve any kind of invasive radiation. Does not involve any kind of artificial radiation that invades the skin, whether it's of kids or whether it's of adults. A lot of machine equipment that's used in the hospital has ionic radiation, like X-rays, like MRIs, like CT scans, and that's not very beneficial in the long run. So just to give you a brief description of this machine, cleft lip and cleft palate is basically it's a facial defect which is seen in newborn children, in which basically the lips and the floor and the roof of the mouth is not anatomically formed normally, like a normal child anatomy would be. Earlier on, this surgery would entail a lot of subjective judgment on the basis on the side of a surgeon. So basically, we would have a group of surgeons who would sit down and discuss how we can bring the child's face back to normal, to an ideally normal face. And everything was very subjective. So one surgeon could be like, well, I think we should push the lip to the left by 2 centimeters. We should push the nose, the tip of the nose forward by 1 centimeter, etc., etc. So it was very subjective. There was not an objective, like a numerical basis to this. So my idea, which was very novel at the time, it was not done before, was what if there was a machine that basically deals with creating a numerical scale, like an objective measurement of the face. So this is what me and my research team sort of worked on, developed. So what this machine does is essentially it consists of 3D and 4D cameras.
Yes.
And the patient basically sits in front of the machine, and the machine basically captures 3D images of the face and 4D images of the face. It creates a virtual map of the face, and then the magic is in the software. So what the software does is basically it has an inbuilt database of 1 million faces around the world, and then it creates like an average face of those faces. So that's basically the reference point for an ideally attractive or an anatomically normal face. And then what my machine does is it takes the patient's face, which is the cleft lip or the cleft palate, the child's face, and it takes the ideally attractive face. It superimposes both of these faces.
Wow.
And then it basically creates a measurement, like a kind of a virtual map, which will be shown in theater to the surgeon, that this is the difference between this child's face and a normal face. So the surgeon essentially has like a template where he can be like, oh, well, I need to push the lip to the left by 2 centimeters. And my machine will also be able to tell the axis of correction. So it can be like X, Y, or Z axis, whether you need to push it forward, whether you need to push it backward in space, whether you need to push it left or right. So this kind of machine kind of development, machine learning, machine intelligence is kind of been very effective in surgery because it's reducing the amount of times a child comes into surgery. It reduces the trauma on a child, it reduces the trauma on the patient's family.
Sorry to cut in there a bit, but as you're talking, I can't help but wonder how challenging creating all of this was. Now, could you please tell us your biggest challenge from the beginning to now? What has been the biggest challenge?
I think we encountered a lot of obstacles again, but then I would say like kudos to my research team, my professors, my supervisors who've been through this with me, like thick and thin. I've had a great research team working alongside me, really good surgeons in the field of surgery, in the field of maxillofacial surgery, cleft surgery. We also had a software engineer in our team, a medical devices expert. So I would say like one of the biggest challenges was the fact that like when we used to like scan a child's face, my machine, because everyone's face is different shape, everyone's face has different measurements. Not every face is exactly the same specifications in terms of measurement. My machine needed to basically create a virtual face, because it's kind of like, if I can break it down, it's kind of like using a hand and then putting a glove in your hand, and that glove basically fits into your hand, and then if you take that glove out, that glove should be the same shape of the hand. So my machine needed to create a map of the face like that, and it was really hard because it involved a lot of challenges. My map kept getting torn in various places, and obviously this was a technical error, which obviously a lot of surgeons and researchers in the past had tried to create, which was obviously unsuccessful. But we went through this whole process, and ultimately it was effective, and we created a virtual map of the face. And I think that came after 3.5 years for me. After months of like sitting in a small lab and trying to make this machine run through hours and hours of data. And essentially our data consisted of post-surgically, like after surgery, children after surgery, their facial it was a facial database of these kids after surgery and before surgery. And then we needed a control group, which basically involved children without cleft lip and cleft palate who have normal facial anatomy, which again, as you mentioned, was a massive challenge for us. Just recruitment of these children around Glasgow. Again, it's the psychology of coming to a hospital.
I can't imagine. I mean, as a parent myself, if someone is going to tell me that they're still running trials and on babies, obviously parents might have that reservation. So that was one of the challenges for you.
Massive.
Getting their trust. And
it took me about 4 years to just get those number of children to our hospital. I think the last child that came to my lab for a scan, I was like thanking the Lord that this is finally finished. Like I don't need to go to schools anymore and recruit these children, because it was really an uphill battle. I think
one thing I have to say is you're a game changer.
Oh, thank you.
You're a game changer and you're determined.
Yeah.
One thing I can already tell, I mean, so many challenges came your way and you were determined to finish what you started. And for that, I have to say congratulations.
Thank you so much. It was actually, as you mentioned, it was like many times down the line. Like I think in my second year, my supervisors were like, sorry, it's just not working. We're not getting anywhere. We need to terminate this program. And I cried. I cried in front of my supervisors. I cried in that room. That this is a dream for me to be able to do something software, this kind of machine. And for me, it was like to be told that this is not going to work out. You need to stop halfway. It was not.
You were like, no.
It was not. So I was like, I'll spend days and nights. I'll get my food ordered here. But
you will live in the lab if you have to.
I actually was, to be honest. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, with your expertise in the medical field, how has artificial intelligence influenced the current medical regime?
Very interesting. So I know, like many people think of artificial intelligence as like, you see these superhero movies, you see Iron Man, you see Green Lantern, you see all these kind of superhero movies, and then you see the dark overlords, and you think of artificial intelligence as this really evil thing that's basically going to creep up on us. A lot of people have that kind of perception of artificial intelligence, like robots taking over the world. One day we're going to get depleted. There's not going to be any human workforce in the world. Which, I don't know. I think my own parents actually have that view as well about robotic and AI. And
I have that view. But I'll tell you my opinion in a bit.
Yeah. So, the poster boy of AI, I feel in my head, is driverless cars. You have these Teslas literally running on the road without a driver, and I'm like looking at them and I'm like, wow, like this is 2023, we've got here. And very interestingly, there was a research done in 1923 where 100 years later, scientists in 1923 predicted what 2023 would be like. And they had predicted driverless cars, and they predicted this kind of AI, robotics, everything. So it's quite interesting to see that transition 100 years back to now. But bringing yourself to this question, in the medical field, I feel AI is just entering mainstream medicine at the moment. It's literally put its foot inside the door. I can see the benefits. I've used robotic surgery myself. The robotic surgery is used in the NHS in the UK. I've also worked in various countries around the world. I've worked in India. I've worked in the Caribbean. And a lot of robotic surgery is being done at the moment. AI, kind of machine intelligence, AI, you can call it either. But I can start to see the benefits. And when I say benefits, it means benefits in terms of efficiency, benefits in terms of patient compliance, patient comfort, benefits in terms of lesser, and because we're talking medical lingo here, lesser rehab time, because the robotic AI, and I'm talking in terms of surgery because I'm a surgeon myself,
Yes,
so everything I talk is going to be theatre based or surgical based. So yeah, in terms of like post surgery, like your wound healing, the healing of your surgical wounds, it's much better with robotic surgery. And then on the flip side, there are also cons, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, I think
Yes,
overall,
that actually leads to my next question.
yeah.
And it is, do you have any negative thoughts or reservations about AI in the medical industry?
A lot, actually. A lot. So the thing with AI is so at the moment, I'm going to give you a brief picture of what we use in surgery at the moment. So what we're using at the moment is something called Da Vinci. It's an AI robot created by Intuitive Surgicals in Sunnyvale, California. It's been used around the world at the moment. What essentially is a massive bit of robotic machinery that's basically sitting inside a surgical theater, and one side, like the arms of the robot, it has several arms, and it's basically connected on top of the operating theater, the table where the patient is lying, and then the actual controls is on the other side of the surgical room, which is controlled by a surgeon. So it's more like a master-slave robot. So I'm the one controlling my robot. It's not the robot creating clinical decisions on its own. Do you know what I mean? Because if that happens, I'm very skeptical about that happening, because I can understand driverless cars. In Glasgow, I can understand a train running without a driver because the environment is very constant. You know, there's cars, there's people, there's a straight road, and there's maps. You know, your car knows where to go. But in surgery or in medicine, there is never a constant clinical environment. There's never a clinical environment where, you know, there's going to be, in terms of my field, there's going to be a facial fracture. The patient is fractured his mid-face, the bone is broken in these areas, but then the soft tissue is literally mangled. And two patients can come with me with very different facial profiles, very different kind of injuries, very different kind of open wounds. And the robot's not going to know, you know, it's not going to be like a straight road and turn right and turn left. So AI is not going to be able to, I feel at least, it's going to take at least a few decades to get to that stage where AI is going to sort of use its own intelligence to make clinical decisions. So at the moment, it's a bit of a master-slave technology where surgeons are controlling the AI, and the AI is working according to the surgeon's instructions or the surgeon's hand movement. So basically, when I'm controlling my Da Vinci robot, every movement of mine is being mimicked by the robot there. The advantage is that that robot is very efficient. It's very tactile as compared to my hands. Like I do a 12-hour shift. If I do a 12-hour shift and I go back the next morning and I'm tired, I'm human. My mind is tired, my body is tired, my reflexes are not the same. I'm standing for a very long time. My back is hurting, my knees are hurting, my legs are hurting. I'm going to be bending over and I'm going to be doing an operation. My hands are not going to be able to, I mean, we try our best to be professional and very efficient. We have no option, it's life and death.
Yes.
But in the end, a machine is a machine. It's not going to feel that level of tiredness, that level
the
of...
machine can work 24
Absolutely,
hours.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So even if I'm controlling the robot's efficiency in actually creating an incision would be so much more efficient than my own hand. And also, when it comes to things like...
So that's progressive.
That is progressive. And that when it comes to things like microscopy, and if I'm, for example, if a person has been in a car crash and there's been a severed artery, so we basically fix the bone, we fix the fracture, we correct any arterial breaks. That machine would be able to sort of magnify that image for me and do revascularization surgery. I'd be able to see it real time working on it. And then if you actually think of AI combined with augmented reality, it's a whole different magical story, because augmented reality would basically mean the same robot, but then the surgeon wears kind of augmented reality vision glasses, and then he'd be able to see literally real time while he's operating what arteries are pumping blood and what arteries are not pumping blood, and he'd be able to make incisions in those areas where there's more blood flow so that healing is better. So, the advantages are insanely high. But again, if you talk about the disadvantages, I would say that, in fact, this brings me to a scenario where one of my patients actually talked to me before surgery, and they were like, "So, doctor, there are like driverless cars out there, and I heard of a driverless car in California crashing along the side of a mountain.
Tesla.
Yeah, it crashed along the side of a mountain, killed those many people in the car. What if that robot's going to go mental and kill me in that operation theater?" And I was like, "I understand your pain, I understand your problem, but this robot's been controlled by me. This robot's not going to do anything that I'm not going to."
Unlike with the car.
Yes.
Yeah, that's completely machine controlled.
Exactly. So I think that the main con is where the digital data gets interspersed with analogous data. It's going to be a very messy affair at the moment for AI, especially in medicine and surgery. So it's okay when you have a car, when you have a straight road, digital data will be able to map roads. But then when it comes to analogous data like bone structure, different patients having different problems, no clinical environment being the same on any given day, I don't think AI can tackle that at the moment. So, yeah.
Now, AI, for me, I've seen that it's taken over so many jobs. So I'm South African, and I remember coming to the UK for the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm walking into grocery stores, various grocery stores, and I'm like, where are the people?
Yeah.
Because it's all, first of all, many are cashless at this point in time.
Yeah.
And it's, so you can scan all of whatever you're buying, your groceries, and pay, and you're out without human intervention.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'll have a few staff members, but compared to stores in Africa, I was just like, where are the people? And I couldn't help but wonder, what about the people's jobs?
Yeah.
People could have been working there. I know overhead costs from a business point of view, you're saving money.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in this specific case, I'm like, what about the actual people, right? So there's that, the tellers. Then there's online shopping.
Yeah.
Okay, online shopping is also taking away from job creation.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me personally.
So all those things where you see online, you get those recommendations on Amazon. People who brought this also brought, all those recommendations. That's AI.
That's AI as well.
Yeah.
Right. Software developers, web developers, computer programmers, coders, and data scientists are pretty amenable to AI technologies displacing more of their work. Now, an example I can make with this after reading what Business Insider had to say about this topic is, I had an online store called Honey and Gold, right? And upon, creating the website and everything, I had to do research first, and I got a web developer and everything to do my website. And then I went online. So, because of AI, you'll get ads and everything related to whatever you're talking about. Now, I started getting ads about Wix and this and that, about all of these websites that assist you to create a website without the need for human intervention, like a coder or a web developer.
Yep.
Now I cut out the middleman. I mean, at that point, I'm making a business decision. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me save money. I'm cutting out the middleman. Let me do it myself.
Yep.
And I literally did that website myself. I did the Grando Beauty, the hair business. I did that website as well myself.
Yep.
So it just goes to show how, honestly speaking, AI is taking from people's jobs.
Yeah, it has.
Now they have to think of new ways to make money.
Yeah.
So if you're once a web developer, a coder, you have to find new ways in today's society in which you can make the money, because most people don't want to pay for websites anymore if they can do it themselves. I mean,
absolutely.
What's the point of paying?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So anyway, yes. Now, having said that, are there such fears amongst yourself or your colleagues about certain jobs in the medical industry being phased out due to AI?
Yeah. I understand. I understand the apprehension regards jobs being taken away by AI and by robots these days. I have very interestingly enough, I have a few friends I have a friend who is a train driver, and now with the invent of driverless trains, they're going to be asked to leave. And what do they do then? Where do they go?
You've been doing
That's all they've been doing in their life. So it's a hard one. But at least in my field, what I can speak from my own perspective is, in a short answer, no. Jobs are not going to be at risk at the moment, at least at the moment. And when I say a moment, I'm talking about the next 60, 70 years. I don't see AI taking over medicine and surgery in the same way it has driverless cars and driverless trains. I don't see AI I don't see robots walking in theatre and saying to the patient, I'm your robot for the day, I'm going to operate on you. That's not going to happen. So I feel right now there's a big partnership. Yes, it's entered the door, it's entered into mainstream medicine, it's entered into mainstream surgery, but at the moment it's a partnership between AI and surgeons, between AI and medicine, to kind of create a progressive environment towards better healthcare. So I'm talking about the fact, like, a surgeon and for example the Da Vinci robot. I'm working alongside that robot. I'm giving my surgical expertise. I'm training that robot to perform that surgery, and that robot can basically counter my weaknesses of tiredness and exertion and tactile sensation and do a better job based on my surgical and anatomical knowledge. So it's a kind of a partnership, and I think that's what AI is going to do to medicine and surgery.
Okay.
So I don't see it taking over jobs at the moment. Yeah.
What I'm about to say, you might end up laughing at me.
Yeah.
So prior to us shooting this yesterday, I was speaking on the same topic.
Yeah.
Right, AI. And obviously you know that companies are collecting our data. So if you're searching for something on Google or Facebook, wherever, they're collecting that data to create ads that are specific to your needs.
Yeah.
Right. And that's an invasion of privacy for me.
Yeah,
but I feel like it's reasonable to a certain extent because it just creates a better user experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I got to the point of sometimes I don't type anything or I don't say anything out loud because your Alexa, your Siri, they're always listening. So even if you don't type and you just say it, it still records that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't type it, I don't say it verbally.
Yeah.
I think about it.
Oh, that's freaky. Yeah. No.
And then I receive ads. So I started asking a few friends, like, have you, and like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. So I thought, okay, maybe I'm losing it or,
Yeah.
So I went online to search and see if I'm the only one experiencing this.
And no. Yeah.
And no. So a number of people are experiencing the same thing. So with me, it's not each time I think of something. It's happened to me on several occasions, but it's not every time. And people are having the same creepy experiences. Like I previously made the example of, I was reading somebody's story saying that the friend offered her a Tic Tac, but did not actually say, friend, here's a Tic Tac. Just, do you want some?
Yeah.
Right? Yes, thank you. After that, she now logs onto Facebook and she starts seeing ads, Tic Tac ads in particular. Yeah. But no one said the word Tic Tac.
Yeah.
So do you want some? Could have been coffee, could have been flowers, could have been anything.
Yeah.
Is that more creepy?
It is freaky. It's freaky, but this is why a lot of criticism on Elon Musk and his neural network technology. I don't know where we are heading, but I don't know how feasible and how recent this is going to be. But that's another form of AI that's basically crossing all boundaries. I feel you insert a chip into a person's head. And
thank you. Yeah. You see, I'm not crazy. I am not psychotic. I was speaking. Thank you for validating me, because I'm just like, I started feeling like I'm losing. So yesterday I was talking about this, about how, okay, so here's my theory, right? My theory with this, sorry to cut you short, I just got so excited when you mentioned that. I'm like, oh my god, yes. So my theory, you remember during COVID, And there were a lot of conspiracy theories. Some of them were ridiculous.
With the vaccines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I thought to myself, there is no way a liquid vaccine that's injected into you could have a microchip.
Yeah.
But now I can't help but think, what if that does have something to do with this new technology of you thinking about something and you're starting to see ads related to it?
I think I'd be quite unfaithful to my field if I go against vaccinations, and I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but
no, I'm vaccinated. I'm
vaccinated. I'm definitely not an anti-vaxxer. I feel I understand your point, but I also think like a vaccine.
He has to tread carefully with his answers.
Yeah. I feel a vaccine. I need to be diplomatic here, but I feel a vaccine with a chip is a bit difficult to
explain the science behind.
Yeah. Obviously, the technology involved in chip making and stuff is extremely high. I don't think they'd be able to put that out to a million billion people around the world. But again, what Elon Musk is doing with neural network technology, it's a bit freaky. Again, it's got its pros, but I feel the cons are going to be spectacular. And obviously, he knows it. He knows it himself. But that man's a risk taker, and I mean, he's successful because of his risk taking.
True.
You never know. It can revolutionize the world. It can create a whole different dimension in our galaxy with neural network technology. The things that we can do as potentially half human, half robot intelligence is vast. But then the cons to it, as you said, these freaky things that you're experiencing, I think there'll be more to be seen in the future.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. To end this on a more positive note, less freaky note. A lot of my subscribers are young people, and I'd be doing them an injustice if you leave without saying a few words to them. So if somebody's watching this who's in their teens and they want to be where you are right now, they want to be, game changers, revolutionaries, you name it. What can you tell them?
I would say the only thing I would say is, don't give up that passion. Follow your dreams. Dreams never. I mean, you are worth it. Everything that you think of, everything that you actually put your mind to, even if it's the silliest thing that people may laugh on. And believe me, a lot of people. I look back at my time during med school, and a lot of people, and I don't want to name anyone, but even professors laughed at me, at my ideas. But you stick on to them, and you hold on to that idea, and one day, you'll find your way. Professor,
in your face, he achieved everything he wanted to achieve. Thank you. Goodbye.
Exactly. But yeah, don't give up that dream. And yeah, I mean, if this is a dream to be a surgeon or into medicine or as a doctor or as a researcher even in a clinical field, it's a commitment. It's a long commitment. You need to be prepared mentally for that. It's an assault to your senses. You're talking about 12, 14 years of education. I'm not putting anyone off, but I'm just being very realistic. Nothing comes easy in life. If you want to take on that challenge, take it on head first, and you'd be very successful. Just don't give up the dream. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
I know you're a very busy person.
No, I really am not.
Time out of he is. And you took time out of your schedule to be here with me. I appreciate it.
No, it's
thank you.
Pleasure.
On this week's episode of Business Corner, we have Thato from Creative Welding. Once again, I do sincerely apologize to my viewers and to Thato for what happened with the show last week. We lost the visuals. It was an absolute nightmare to get them back, so I just posted the video as it was. So I felt like I did a disservice to both Creative Welding and our viewers. So I thought let's get Thato's business on the show one last time. So we've got Thato from Creative Welding. He says, hi, my name is Thato. I have a welding certificate as well as creative welding. I design furniture, security gates, and many more. Any welding job would be appreciated. Thato's cell phone number is +27 072 361 4678, and he is based in Soweto, South Africa. Please, please do take his details down. You never know when you might need some custom furniture made, or, fit in a new gate, or whatever it is that you need, or you might need to recommend him to somebody else. Let us please support our brother Thato in his business ventures. Thank you so much, Thato, for your business submission. I do hope this makes a difference. Right, we have reached the end of our show. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed creating it. I had an absolute blast. Listen, same time in 2 weeks, we have our bi-weekly show, Catching Up with Keke, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. I love you all. Mwah. Bye.